He knew it was a dumb question, but Gabriel had to ask, what on earth happened? Jason didn't really have a good answer. This whole thing got away from him in a hurry. This is not a party. This is the party. Every year, a few seniors take it upon themselves to find some sucker no one would ever expect to host the party and convince him or her to do so. Enter Jason. Jason was the church kid. He would never even attend the party, much less host it. Until Lexi. She and her friends figured they could use Jason's feelings for her to convince the churchiest kid in school to host the party. And as the kids and the booze started flowing through the door, Jason realized there was no turning back. All night long, people were offering him drinks. Everybody was on a mission to get Captain Super Christian drunk, even Lexi. It's a funny thing about compromises. All it takes is a tiny little tap to start a full-on avalanche. Jason was in way over his head. And it was in this checked out state that Lexi found him, determined to make up for getting him into this situation. And the way he was feeling, as down as he was about everything going on around him, he just went with it. At this point, all Jason wanted was to get all these people out of his house, to go to sleep, and to process all that had happened. But how do you get dozens of drunk and or unconscious teenagers out of your house? Oh, that'll do it. After Gabriel got plugged into church, got baptized and all that, he and Jason were pretty inseparable for a while. And then Lexi showed up. Gabriel always had the feeling that she was up to something, and he tried to talk to Jason about it a few times, but he didn't want to hear it. You know how it goes. He had a cute senior girl who liked him, and he didn't want to believe there was anything wrong with that. So it had been a couple months since Gabe or Jason had even talked, and they were estranged enough that Gabriel hadn't even heard Jason was hosting the party. Gabe had been to the party a couple years before, but he wasn't into that whole lifestyle anymore, so he wasn't really in the loop when the invites started flying around. Until that one Sunday morning when he woke up to a lock screen full of notifications. As he filtered through all the new posts, he was totally stunned. It wasn't the content that was shocking. It was the same collection of hundreds of pictures of people doing stupid things at the party, just like any other year. It was the fact that he knew that house. Why on earth would Jason host the party? And not just host it, there he was drinking with the rest of them. And of course, who was right there by his side? He knew Lexi wasn't good for him. Gabe was furious. There was his best friend, the dude who introduced him to Jesus in the first place, making a long series of stupid mistakes. And he knew better. He tried to think of the best "I told you so" message he could send to him. And then a thought occurred to him. A couple years ago, their roles would have been completely reversed. Gabe would have hosted the party. He would have had too much to drink. He would have gone too far with a girl. And what would Jason have done? Probably put another Bible note in his locker, invited him to church again, and been a friend to him anyway. And out of that thought, he realized what Jason needed right now was not an "I told you so," but someone to be there for him. He knew it was a dumb question, but Gabriel had to ask, what on earth happened? Jason didn't really have a good answer. This whole thing got away from him in a hurry. He wasn't passing blame, but had to admit that the driving force behind this whole idea was Alexei. Gabriel was about to lose his mind. He had tried to warn Jason about this girl 100 times, and he refused to listen. And after all this, he had the nerve to act like he didn't know how he let this happen? Gabriel knew how he let this happen. He got too close to someone who wasn't good for him. He ignored his friends, parents, and coaches who tried to warn him. He made one compromise after another that snowballed into the last 12 hours of mistakes that he's going to have to deal with for a long time. But looking at his friend, who was obviously crushed, Gabe knew saying any of that wasn't going to help. So, Gabriel offered to help clean up so his parents wouldn't totally kill him, and maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Of course, what Gabriel didn't know was that just before he got there, Jason's parents had texted him. Jason had already considered his options. 1, flee to Mexico. He had heard of guys heading down there to play semi-pro soccer, and he might be good enough to make it. 2, burn the house down. A freak accident in the kitchen, insurance would cover his parents' losses. It could work. 3, there is no 3. Sleep deprivation and alcohol don't usually produce the best problem-solving abilities. Well, there was really only one choice. Clean as much as they could, and then Jason would just have to face the music when his parents got home. And so, the party of 2018 officially came to a close. Other people would host it in the future, and other mistakes would be made. But for Jason, this would be a pivotal moment in his life. He crossed some lines he thought he never would, and things were going to be weird at home for a long time. I'm sure you're expecting this to be where the happy ending comes in, but that's not how life always works. Jason's got a lot up against him right now. He's got to face some serious consequences, and he kind of has to start over with his reputation. I guess, if there is a silver lining, it's that he's not alone. He has a friend to walk through this with him. The party isn't the last chapter of Jason's story. He'll have to live with the consequences, probably for a while. But hope is not lost.